This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bills fans, welcome to 24/7 Buff Pandemonium presents the K-Gun Report, Season 2, Episode 47. I'm Jarrod. Joining me tonight, we have Mr. Swank.
Yo.
Scott.
Hey.
And Buffalo Bills great, John Fina.
Oh, you guys got all the rhythm. You got all the feels. I love it. I love it.
we got to keep it optimistic out here, even when the season's over with.
Yeah. See, you had to go right to that right off the bat, man. I was going to try and keep it away from football all night. Just talk to John about where he likes to travel.
No, he had to go and ruin it.
I don't know if anybody can pull that off right now. I mean, honestly, who can really stop thinking about it every 5 minutes or so? I mean, you got to be like a sewer worker or like, on the space shuttle, like working on algorithms, not to like stop every 5 minutes and go, holy crap.
13 seconds.
Yep, there's an algorithm for you.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's numbers for you, that 13 seconds and how you deal with that. Oh, my goodness. So, obviously, we all know the Buffalo Bills.
Here, guys. Good to be on the K-Gun Report here. That's a cool name. I like it. Not as cool as my show's name, but you guys are all right, maybe.
Off Tackle with John Fina.
We'll see,
That's right. Where can they find you with your show, John?
Yeah, we're live on YouTube Monday night. Off Tackle with John Fina. Just search it in the YouTubes, and then if you want to catch it in your car, then we're on almost all of the platforms there. It's under the Buffalo Rumblings heading, and Off Tackle with John Fina. That's it. I mean, I'm not a techie guy. I hope I said it right. And if you can't find it, then you're just as bad as I am.
Yeah, and we'll let you know where you can find it too. We'll throw it on a couple posts here and there. But
I hope you guys have been listening to my show at least every now and again, for God's sakes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you and Joe Miller, you guys are fantastic together. It's like were you guys buddies before this, or is this something he approached you on, or vice versa?
We grew up together. We did a mission in India, and no. Never.
Okay, I was going to say, because you guys are very on point with each other. So
I grew up together.
I was just typing in Miller and Fina mission to India. I want to see more about that.
You missed out. Joe just kind of reached out to me randomly on Twitter and said, hey, you got any interest? And we had a couple of conversations over the phone. I said, all right, I'll do this as long as it's, low energy for me. I don't want to have to do the sound checks and anything like that because mostly I'm incapable. If you take care of all the logistics, then yeah, let's get on and talk Bills football. So we did it last year. We did a quarterly report, monthly report, I guess. Makes more sense to say it that way. And then this year he conned me into a weekly show.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Like I said, you guys go back and forth. Awesome. It's nice to watch.
Our tech guy's right over there. Our tech guy, our sound guy, he's in a band, Endless Mountain Derelict, so he's got all the sound and all that stuff figured out.
Perfect.
We just have to sit here and talk. It's easy, isn't it? When you can have to do
that.
It's
easy, man. It's easy. John, when you're watching a game like Sunday's game, or playing in a game like Sunday's game, what the hell is going in your head, like as a player, when you see this?
Well, as a former player, I see a lot more. When the teams get lined up at the ball, the first thing I'm looking at is the offensive set as quickly as I can. How many tight ends is our fullback? Are they trips right? Are they even? And then very quickly, then I got to transfer to the defensive line. How many guys have their hand on the ground? Usually it's a 4-2-5 nowadays. And I'm looking for rotations in the secondary. Are they putting 7 in the box? Are they sitting back with 6? And then from that point, before the ball snapped, I'm looking at the uncovered guard nearest the center. Obviously, the guard is nearest to the center. And then on the snap of the ball, that tells you if it's run or pass. I don't know if you guys know that trick, but typically the first uncovered guard, if it's a pass, he's going to set. If it's a run, he's coming at you. He's coming out toward the defensive line. That way, when you're watching the game in that format or that thought process, if you're not following the ball and doing it my way, you see where the holes are made. You see where the blocking schemes fail. You see where they succeed. If you just watch the quarterback hand the ball off to the running back, and then all of a sudden some guy comes through, most people are like, where the hell did he come from?
Yeah.
But if you get this ability and you start watching football this way, you can kind of expand. And I'm pretty good now where I can watch 3 or 4 offensive linemen all at the same time and see how the flow of the game is going. The difference is when you're playing, if I'm one-on-one blocking you, I'm looking at all the things that I scouted you on, your stance, the down and distance, how tight you are to me. Are you angled a little bit? And if I'm working a combination block, I'm looking, where's that guy lined up on Reuben Brown? Is he wide on Reuben? Is he tight to Reuben? Where's the linebacker? If we're going to double team that block up, if it's a single running block and I've got the guy, he's tight on me, and I can see the linebacker kind of floating out into space, I might think that he's going to come inside. So I got to take a little bit more guarded outside step. So as a player, it's micro, and as a viewer, I'm much more macro.
And I tell you what, we love hearing that kind of stuff for the audience and the fans that don't know how to watch a game like that. Now you guys can practice this weekend, this upcoming game. Yeah, it's awesome.
I actually wrote it down. So I used to play linebacker. I used to play linebacker in high school, and we were taught to read the guards if they're pulling, if they're coming out, and stuff like that. So even just that extra step to the NFL to watch the uncovered guard and watch his first steps to indicate kind of where it's going, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I want to run a game back and check my theory. But another big thing, too, is looking at personnel. So once you get past a little bit of formations and defensive fronts, kind of start paying attention on who's rotating into the game. And that can also give you a little bit of a tip. Honestly, you never know what's going to happen. But you have a good idea of how it's happening when it's going on if you're able to focus. I coached high school football for years for my son, and then I'm coaching my younger son. And when I coach the offensive line, I sort of kind of stare, not totally at the ground, but sort of through their hips a little bit. And then when there's an error, they come back and I say, hey, you need to do this. And they look me in the face and say, no, I did that. And I'm just like, I see everything. You can't lie to me. I can see it.
Right. My next question was just like, was going to be, at what age are you telling your sons all this bit of information? Because your oldest son, I think, has just gone off to college, just started.
He's in his second year, just finished his second season at UCLA, and my younger guy is a freshman in high school right now.
Very cool.
And when they do, when they're young, they got so much going on with the phones and the gaming. It's hard. When we were kids, we just watched football because there was nothing else on. There were, a year younger than me, maybe there were 40 channels. Now there's 500 channels. Yeah. When I was a kid, there were 4 channels and public broadcasting, which is garbage now. But beyond that, so when I take the opportunities when I can, when I have their attention and start talking about opening up. I had a coach in college who said, take the blinders off. You got to start seeing the field. And I was watching the game the other night, just as you were, and you could see the Kansas City cornerback starting to creep. Once they start creeping, that doesn't just affect the guy that's coming to Josh Allen. The whole defensive front now can move a gap over. So you start looking for games. You just got to watch the attitude, watch the eyes, and, it really kind of brings the game into a different level of understanding.
Yeah. Love it.
That's awesome.
All right. So what we've pride ourselves on during the show is the fandemonium, which is the individuals who like to watch. And John, we usually have the same 15, 20 people show up, and they've been here since day one. We usually give them a shout out here. We got Paul Rossi, Gary Richardson actually asked if you ever coached or if you plan on coaching. And obviously you love coaching your kiddos. Jesse DeBouvie here, Paul Rossi, got Mary Montford. The whole family's here. Guys, welcome. Welcome. All right, so let's get a little bit more into this game a little bit here. Usually we just break out. I'll call on somebody. We break out the good, the bad, and the ugly of the game. Scott, I'm going to go right with you really quick. What's the good and bad and the ugly of this game that we just saw Sunday?
Jarrod, this week we don't have we don't have the image up, the good, the bad, ugly. And we kept it that way because I kind of want to just talk about just the Bills in general. The emotional roller coaster that we went through all on Sunday, and just a recognition of how good of a season it was. We played against who many think was the AFC Championship game this week, the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, that's who we met last year. That was that become a nice little rivalry. And if you look at these other teams, this was the matchup. The way the seeding goes and all that stuff, fortunate enough, it was a divisional playoff game. But this game, the loss is devastating. But what we saw Josh Allen and that offense do, dubbed one of the best games ever in the NFL already, right? So I didn't want to do any good, the bad, the ugly. I just wanted to just go ahead and say the Bills, you've won our hearts with that loss. There's a lot of things that we have to fix, of course, to keep up with the Chiefs, but that can be done in free agency and in the draft, and we got a couple months before that starts. But, yeah, I just want to congratulations on a wonderful season, Buffalo. We're excited for you. We're pulling for you, and we got a lot to root for. You look at our depth chart, you look at our cap space, we don't have much, but we've signed a lot of people for long-term extensions. So we're going to keep a core group of good guys for a very long time, and that's what we got to be excited for. Let's remember, the Buffalo Bills in 88 and 89 were really good, and they didn't make the Super Bowl. We all know what happened the next 4 years. So you don't always – just wait. Just wait.
It's funny when you say – go ahead, John.
No.
I didn't have anything to say. I wait till I'm called on.
Yeah, no, I thought. Okay, Swank, was it you that said something? I heard someone say, "Hey."
I was going to say, "Hey, John, what do you think?"
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
The obvious good is the development of Josh Allen and his command on the field, his confidence on the field, and I think a transitional point for that good is. I believe there will be some roster moves that say, all right, we got the guy now. We can overcome a lot. We need to painfully let some guys go and make some changes because we're poised at the moment. The bad, I'd rather have my head cut off than death by 1,000 cuts. And I would much have preferred to see a more aggressive defensive posture. So I think that the game planning to me defensively was bad. Good, we got a lot of pressure on Mahomes in the first half. Bad, we just couldn't bring him down. The guy's covered in grease. I mean, it's amazing. I hate it. Our guy's covered in muscle. Their guy is covered in grease. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. The ugly was just how they approached that final fourth quarter moment. it was miserable. I just didn't get it. I wish I knew what they were thinking with 3 times out left. You don't need to protect against the Hail Mary. I think it's a toss up on kicking it deep, because it's a difference between a known entity and an unknown. If we kick it deep, hey, he could have fair caught it at the 5 if we kicked it shallow, and they'd still be at the 25. But kicking it deep, the starting point. They decide to return it, all hell could break loose.
Yep.
And that would have been equally miserable or worse. So I'm a little baffled. I don't think we'll ever get the answer. We don't deserve to know the answer. It's none of our GD business.
Right.
And that hurts, but everybody, because we feel now with the content creators, with the platforms that are available to us through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, we all feel like we have ownership, like we are embedded in the team, and it's not the case. There's still a separation, and there always will be. But it hurts, man. I'm just kind of rolling around in my head, and I don't know what to think sometimes.
It's
it
very
it
felt like very Buffalo to me, right? And that's like a taboo saying that, like,
yeah, I mean, look, think of it this way too. I mean, separate the game tying kick at the end of regulation for just a comeback drive. That's happened before. Sure. So I console myself a little bit in that to say, hey, it's happened before with little time left, that somebody gets 2 plays and hits a big field goal. So that's unfortunate. But the decisions that we made that allowed that positioning to take it to overtime are just hard to process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wanted to just add my 2 cents in there. You brought up the Instagram and the social media and all that stuff, John. And the thing is what he's saying is true. A lot of people don't know the rules to a lot of these other rules that you could do during a game. Like, for instance, a lot of people are saying, why didn't we hold on that first down? We're allowed to hold the defense intentionally once. You get away with it once. Time goes off the clock, and then it's a down 5 yards further ahead. A lot of people don't know about it, but because the media tells you that you can have that option, now everybody's like, well, why didn't Buffalo do that? Why didn't they go ahead and hold on that first offensive play? The media does play a big part in it. And like John, you said, you cannot put yourself in a position to where you're sitting there on the sidelines with the momentum the way it is, with the emotion and the players and all that stuff being part of that game. You can't put yourself there and say you would have done it a certain way. These guys do everything based off the algorithms and the analytics and all that stuff, but the coaches are the ones that make the decision, and they're the ones getting paid the big money. We could just sit there and say we would have done it a certain way, but
they're the ones that get fired, right? And they're the ones that lose out on the next job. I mean, look, I think that Leslie Frazier is a great coach. I love what he's done. I think that we've had some challenges personnel since Tre'Davious White left. That might be why the game plan what it was. Mm-hmm. People say, oh, well, he can't cover Tyreek Hill. I have yet to see somebody cover Tyreek Hill. So right. I don't use that as a barometer for his ability, but he certainly, I love Levi Wallace because he's from Tucson, Arizona. He walked on at Alabama. He is the story. I mean, I love the story. I love the kid. Yeah. But Tre'Davious White's a better football player than Levi Wallace is. And if Levi's on the field, then he's better than Dane and Taryn. Mm-hmm. So, it's a war of attrition. And sometimes you have to game plan around what our personnel is and what their weapons are. And it's easy to second guess. I personally, I would have liked to have brought more pressure, but I don't coach defense. I just know that my last 2 years playing for the Buffalo Bills, that if Walt Corey was a nice man, but I think that if we had, and it could have been the same personnel, if we had Wade Phillips as our defensive coordinator, we win.
Wow.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I think the formula worked the first time in week 5, but KC was not the same team as they were in week 5. The same thing that, the Bills weren't the same as they were back then. So I would have liked to see some pressure too. And it could have blown up in their face. That's the thing with being, like, with the 3 of us being armchair GMs and coaches and being able to have the benefit of hindsight and to read every article known to man. And now we have an ex-professional football player sitting here saying that, it's the same thing to him. Like, we're all just like social media content creator, like, yeah, it's easy to do it and look back and say you shoulda, coulda, woulda. In the moment, it's a lot harder. So it's refreshing to hear that.
Yeah, and I mean, they're all men out there, right? I mean, they're fallible, just as the rest of us are. So just, I hate that it came down the way it did. I just, I want to forget the game, and I will, because I didn't play in it, and you may, because you didn't play in it. The games that I remember, I try to balance, some of my poor plays against some of my greater plays and greater performances. But just as everything in life, in your profession, there's a haunting nature to it that keeps you striving to get better, depending on what kind of competitor you are, right? I mean, you cash in your chips, or you load up again and you keep going at it. And I like what we have in place. I mean, Tre'Davious coming back from that ACL will help considerably. I think our defense, by and large, is good. There are just a couple pieces that we need to address, I think, and some of it might be coaching. I mean, I don't love how we're not first step rushers. I think Ed Oliver has a little bit of it in him. Jerry Hughes still has a little bit, but our guys don't come off the edge with a plan already and a sellout. I was talking last night, if you heard Joe and I going back and forth. Bruce Smith, before the ball was snapped, he knew what move he was going to put on the tackle. And it didn't work. I mean, 40 out of 45 times. But the 5 times that he brought hellacious pressure, or he brought the quarterback down, it's because he chose before the snap that he was going to make that move. And right. I see a little too much hesitation, a little too much measurement when our ends are coming off the ball, and there's not a sellout approach to it. And that unsettles me a little.
Right, because look at the game really quick.
Yeah,
if you look at the game, Mahomes, like you said, he's got grease on him. He's squeaking away. So regardless if you were being hesitant coming on the outside or going full gung-ho, he was slipping through anyway. So pick the 110% gung-ho one. When you said that, the first guy I thought about was Dwight Freeney, how you knew when he was coming, right? Like with Bruce Smith, when you saw him come off the line, you knew he was coming.
Yeah,
when
those
he
guys,
had that
you have your best move, and
yep.
then you have 3 or 4 moves after that.
Yeah.
And I tell kids all the time, even in high school, I'm like, don't run straight into the offensive lineman. That's their dream. Big pads, high up, boom, I got you, right? You got to get skinny. You got to choose something and accelerate and go through an edge of a guy. You got to play on half a man. You can't play on a full man. They eat you alive. They're just too good. Even the worst tackles in this league are too good for that.
Right.
All right. So what you're saying, John, is as a defensive end, you're going after the quarterback. You make up your mind what you're doing. Don't try to judge it based on what the tackle's doing. You go and do what you have to do.
Just go.
Yep.
Just go.
Like that.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
You know what? And I'm a reasonable guy. I could be 100% wrong.
Yep.
But I know what I would do.
Right.
Yeah.
Why not try it anyway?
Yeah.
What will it hurt? We might see the two.
What will it hurt? I mean, you could gash the defense. Give up lane integrity.
Right.
But at some point, you're never gonna have the opportunity to take the quarterback down on a free hit if you don't go for that move.
Right.
And you got to have a plan. I would say, like, what's your plan? My coach in college, Pat Hill, he would say, look, plan your first step. Have a plan for your first step, right? It's like the guy from the military who gave the speech. He said, make your bed first thing in the morning, right? You've done one thing, right? You've done one thing. Have a plan and execute that one thing. So, hell, I'm just getting off on a tangent because
it's good.
Man. That's great.
I should have said no to this crap.
No, you did mention
Why can't I say no?
You did mention different coaching, so that might actually happen this offseason. And we wish the best of luck for Frazier and Dayball, but we'll see what happens with that. We might have, I don't know if they're going to keep, oh my gosh, who's the offensive coordinator that we're hoping pops in? Ken Dorsey. We hope that he steps up and takes over. But we also hope that Josh Allen starts to make his own play calls and runs a little bit like old Jim Kelly used to.
The game is a lot more complicated now, I think, than
Yeah.
it was then, frankly. And our offense, you might not think it, but it was pretty limited when we ran the K gun. And, Jim didn't have, a flip booklet of plays to be choosing from. Not to say that you can't do that, but when you have personnel substitutions coming in for different packages, now you got 2 tight ends on the field, you got a heavy package on the field, you've got a fullback. I mean, it wasn't that way with us. We had a tight end, and occasionally we had one more tight end. But by and large, it was Thurman, 3 wides, a tight end, go.
Mhm.
So, you weren't having to balance personnel groupings. And I think analytics, kind of push that on, there's so much to the analytics that we want to get in the right grouping, that the freedom of making those plays in the middle of the field in the second quarter and the third quarter just isn't as great, especially with offensive coordinators. They're rolling in different packages. And I think the best influence Josh will have is at the sideline saying, in the next series, I want to see X.
Boy.
There you go.
Yeah. You also mentioned how you want to forget the game. And one of the things that we always push a little bit is enjoy the ride, because this is a 17-game season now. And I honestly can say that, yes, this game's hard to get over. It's a tough one to lose. But I think the fact that I enjoyed the journey from week 1 to now is helping me get through this and realize we had a great season. Allen did good. We had a lot of good players show up. Dane Jackson played well when he was called on. Gabriel Davis, I mean, we kind of were hoping at the beginning of the season that he would become something special, and he broke a record this past weekend. So to know that there's a journey and there's a story that's happening helps me cope with this loss a little bit.
I don't disagree with you. And I think that's why, you look at the development, the traumatic talk about the offensive line and the changes that they went through and the personnel regroupings. I think they really, everybody talks about Bates is better than Feliciano. I think that was probably the most interchangeable event at the end of the year. I still have great regard for Mongo. But I think the smartest move they made was Spencer Brown at tackle and moving Williams into guard. I rooted for Cody Ford. I just felt like there were things that he was doing at the guard position, body position wise, that just didn't work. And that was a good move. We struggled a little bit because Spencer was out there, and he grew fast and he grew well. I think he played admirably. And, the funny thing is, he started out about here and he's finishing, this way. But when you come into camp, just the amount of playing that he did, he'll be this player next year. It doesn't keep, there's going to be an aha epiphany moment, that transitional moment where the confidence and the knowledge base that you get from not just watching film and watching game film, but watching yourself on film. Mm-hmm. And if you can highly critique your own play and not drive yourself to, virtual suicide, but look at yourself in a way where you can just, kind of make these incremental changes and incremental improvements and be a thoughtful guy like Josh has proven to be in his off seasons, then I love Spencer Brown, and I love how he took over that sort of villainous, angry attack dog that Feliciano was for us. Yeah. So we didn't lose that, which is good.
Oh, you got to love Spencer Brown when the whistle hasn't blown and the running back's about to get tackled and he's coming in flying over the pile, still looking for that block, that extra yard. I love it. That's what you want. I mean, you want all 5 guys to be like that. And that's just a nastiness that you love to see on your offensive line, for sure.
John, Swank, that's your guy.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I talked about it earlier, and I know Spencer Brown caught a lot of junk for when he had to fill in for Dion, but just from your perspective, like, I didn't think it was that bad. I know he got a couple calls, but how hard is it to completely switch to the other side of the line and mirror everything? Like, was the criticism justified, or is that like kind of admirable?
Well, first of all, I didn't think he did that bad, frankly. And they rotate across in Buffalo, from my understanding, so it was a little bit easier for him. I couldn't have done it. I never took a rep on the right side for 11 years. And if you put me out over there, which I ended up doing when I went to Arizona, I felt like a fish out of water with, two left fins. I mean, it was miserable. What's curious about this concept is if you look at offensive line play over the course of, let's just say 70 plays, your expectation is that your offensive lineman wins every one of them, or he somehow has a bad game, right? And now let's flip it out onto the edge. If out of 70 plays, 40 of them are passes, shouldn't every receiver beat coverage every time and be open? And if they aren't open every time on 40 plays, then isn't that not a failure? So, we just get ingrained into this thinking, and we forget how challenging it is. I looked at, Spencer had one play where he got off the ball super late, and I just looked at it. I was like, wow. I realized at the moment it was a 3rd and long, and with the crowd noise, I just went, oh my God, I remember that. It was, I can't describe to you how stressful, how hard it is to have one eye on the ball, one eye on the monster, and be able to interpret that ball movement, take that step, find your target, feel relaxed enough. It's mind-boggling. I mean,
it's all like just
it happens so fast, and I thought that they were remarkable in the game with respect to that, handling the crowd noise.
And you're right. You do 40 passes and you're successful on 38 of them, and the other 2 your quarterback gets hammered. Yeah, I mean, right there.
Now you forgot about all the run blocks too, because we're being graded on 70, right? And anyway, look, you have to play with who's ever available and whoever shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So if that means a young guy has to come in and grow up fast, there isn't a person out there who can tell me that Spencer Brown didn't grow up fast and grow up really well very quickly.
And he likes beer. I really got a minute or 2 left with John. John, we thank you very much for helping us out here tonight. But another thing, you guys, like you said, you're all 70 plays. If you compare wide receiver or running back plays, you guys up front are contact every single play. You guys are involved every single play. So to be 100% be on that PFF scale, that's hard to do. And I've always preached that the game starts up front with you guys, and from there trickles back. So the monsters getting as close to 100% to what they're supposed to do. Obviously, he's going to end up in a better outcome. But he's grown. Our offensive line is doing very well, and I can't wait to see what next year brings.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I think Mitch Morse played like a hero this year.
Yeah.
I don't know a ton about the center position with respect to techniques and things like that. I felt like, geez, is he undersized? Is he doing the right? And he just absolutely crushed it. Deion Dawkins was fantastic. Bates did a superior job filling in. And I give it up for Darrell Williams sliding into guard and just absolutely being a freaking stalwart. It was terrific. The blocking on the edges improved for us. Again, I think we need more production out of our front 4, and we're gonna be okay. I hate to say, the late 80s. We had 2 seasons where we were good. Nobody wants to wait anymore, and it's hard to build a roster, and the pressure is so great. There's 9 million TV shows on, there's 40 million podcasts, and it's a lot of expectation. But the nice thing is that these players live in a community that really roots for them, that they can, rely on. That it means a lot. The city of Buffalo. I have great memories outside of football, just being in a wonderful, what I tell people is the greatest American city that we have. And people who haven't been there should visit it in the summer.
I was just saying, not now.
No.
Well, if you go in the winter, have someone else drive.
It was great to be on the K-Gun Report. I think that's what it's called, the K-Gun Report, right?
You got it.
Yeah, that's it.
You guys have a great show. Thanks for having me on. I'll be a guest anytime.
Awesome.
Because I can't say no as much as I'd like to. If you got something to bring up, you want me to chime in, happy to be here. But until then, Justin, Scott, Jarrod, thanks so much. And hey, go Bills. Let's reload. Let's get after it.
Reload and get after it. Exactly.
Thanks so much,
Thanks, John.
Thank you,
Fina.
John.
Thank you very much.
Take care, fellas.
Go Bills.
Go
Oh,
Bills!
how fantastic. That insight that we just got from that man in 30 minutes was just crazy. And Butch Roll was calling me. That's what the vibration
Oh,
was.
really?
So,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Maybe
You
we
probably
should
wanted to
send
get
him.
Yo,
Wow.
real quick before we go any further, and just to tell you guys, we got some great interaction going on, and usually when we have these players on, I really try to like pay attention to the comments to try to get some of these questions in and like see what's going on. But like literally, I would watch our show if I wasn't part of our show. The insight that these guys feel comfortable laying out like this, somebody like John Fina who just, I learned so much in the last half hour about the game that, you know, a game I've been watching religiously since I was 7, 8, you know, and it's insane. So I just want to say really quick, we set out the beginning of season 2 with a list of goals. We wanted to interview one person associated with the Buffalo Bills in any sort of way, whether it was an ex-player, a current player, a coach, a media member, a super fan. And by my count, between super fans, shout out Lady Bills, Buffalo Spartan, and
This
players,
is Sparta!
and players, we've had that. He was the 4th player that we've had on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're just beyond lucky, and it's amazing. And you guys are great. So thank you so much.
Shout out to Buffalo Autographs for helping out with that, and especially Debbie Emerton. But Debbie Emerton was a Mark Maddox hookup, and Mark, I tell you, he's been on a couple times, and we love having him. And what's great, coming from a fan of the game, and he was one of the first guys to ever sign anything for me. Him wanting to come on is awesome too. And that's a testament to us 3 and how we've been doing, but also the Fandemonium and everybody that makes this show pretty much go. What we should do now, guys, because again, we just had Mr. John Fina, number 70 Buffalo Bills offensive line, great, join us. We can do the Fandemonium Wheel of Destiny now if you want.
Well, you know what? Boop. Okay, there you go.
Here you go.
Oh,
so Scott, go ahead. What's going on with that?
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we Ryan Hickman donated from www.buffaloautographs.com, and Buffalo Autographs, a Facebook page, our partner over there. Ryan Hickman was giving up a 8x10 Singletary, a nice little 8x10 glossy Singletary picture, COA authenticated autograph. Yeah, if you commented during the Sunday sessions, you're on the Fandemonium Wheel of Destiny. And if you're Troy Pedidel and you tagged 4 people to that post that I put out earlier, you got an extra spot. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and spin that wheel.
I haven't said this.
Oh, we're gonna
wheel that spin.
Wheel that spin?
Yeah, good luck everybody whose name is on there. This is going to be exciting. I haven't seen one of these in a while. You guys have done it, but not me.
Oh, Debbie Emerton.
There you go, Debbie. Congrats, Debbie. You just won that 8x10. Just personal message us your address, and we'll send that out to you ASAP. Actually, no,
yes.
Ryan Hickman will.
Yeah, just send it to me. I'll send it to Ryan. He'll send it out to you. He'll get it out to you as soon as possible. Congratulations, Debbie.
Congratulations, Debbie.
Debbie, you're one of the OGs, yo. Thank you for coming along all the time for both episodes. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. All of you guys that come out for both episodes. I know it's a lot to listen to us ramble on, well, me, but we love it. And, you know, we consider you guys our family. We love you. And, man, it'll be a long 6 weeks that we're going to disappear for. But when we come back, guys, we'll be reloaded and ready to go.
Yeah, we want to – if you guys have any suggestions, if you have any ideas, we're going to plan another Rager this year. So if you got any ideas for that, if you guys, we'd love for any of you that can come to come. We had the privilege and honor of meeting Mr. Paul Rossi at the last one, which was great. And a couple other people that came down. Big ups to Ryan Thomas, man. He's been great and has some really amazing things to say, and his input is great. If you guys have any ideas for what you want, I mean, to be honest, this season has far exceeded any expectation that I had. I mean, And not to say that I didn't think it was at all possible, but it is literally mind-blowing to me, like the amount of opportunities that we got to talk to the amazing people that we did. So please, any ideas, anything that you want to put out there, like, we're in for it.
Yeah. The suggestion box is through our private message, guys. What I wanted to tell
definitely,
you,
Scott, that you mentioned that. You guys mentioned that. If you want to see something, Fandemonium, don't be afraid to personal message 24/7 Buff Fandemonium, because we want, you guys are part of this. So let us know what you want, and we'll see what we can do. Perfect.
And also, Swank mentioned the Rager. What we did last year is the Friday before the home opener or the season opener, we put together a little event. We all got together. We did a live show from there. We had food, booze, all that good stuff. So that's what he means by the Rager. If you didn't know, it's before the season opener, and we get together and have a good old time. And we're actually looking. We did it in Rochester last year, and we're up for suggestions for sure. We're from the Finger Lakes area, so hey, got any ideas?
Finger Lakes.
Yeah. If you guys don't know what the Finger Lakes are, there's 11 Finger Lakes here, and
Oh, Jesus.
no, but guys, what's that?
I said, oh, Jesus. That's what
No,
I said.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. No, I mean, the game was rough this week, but like I told you guys, what helped me get through this is the fact that this season was freaking sweet. The last 6 games were awesome. I watched Joe Miller, actually the off tackle with John Fina last night, and John, I was going to ask him this before he left, but he actually wore the same clothes too for the last 6 games. He was superstitious, and I wore the same shirt. And that post I put on Twitter about a friend wearing the same stuff during the season, that was me. I didn't know if you guys got that, but no, it was a fantastic year. I know it sucks the way it ends, but I was watching another show today, and Michael Vick, and I know you guys have your own different feelings about him, and these other NFL guys said that they can see Josh Allen winning 1 Super Bowl at least, right? So we all have to take in perspective what this game is all about. You can sit there on the sidelines, hello puppy, or watch the game and say, well, one team wanted it more. There she is. The other team seemed dead. They didn't feel like they were in it. But these are NFL players in the playoffs, and they're all fighting for the same thing. And I personally thought the Buffalo Bills were better than Kansas City, but both teams went out slugging away. Both teams played their hearts out, and it just so happens that Kansas City got the ball overtime. And
yeah, I mean, that's the frustrating part was
you're not going to win them all. You're not
Right.
going to win them all. I just, like John said, I want to get one. Just one would be nice to have that nice base. And then whatever comes after will just be extra. But you can't win them all. You just have to enjoy the ride, enjoy the careers of these players that we like to watch. And that's it. And it's hard to do sometimes, but
Swank and Jarrod, should they change the overtime rule?
we wouldn't be asking this question if the Bills won. Would we?
The question was brought up in 2019 when the Kansas City Chiefs lost to the Patriots because of the same rule.
The Chiefs
By the
proposed
Chiefs.
the
The
rule
Chiefs
change.
presented it. Right.
Yeah, I want to say that I agree, Jarrod. We would not be talking about it, right? I think that the narrative that you're talking about is Bills fans wouldn't be talking about it. And I think that this is different now because I think nationally people recognize and finally are giving Josh Allen the credit that he deserves as a quarterback. The quarterback that we knew had all this in him. The same one, like, where he was driving with 20 seconds left and you just knew in your heart that he was going to throw that laser to Gabe Davis in the end zone and give you a shot to win this game. That's the guy we knew he was, and now he's just showing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is bigger than Buffalo in that respect. I think that nationally people are saying it is criminal that he didn't get a chance to go down the field and try and tie it up. I don't know if you would have been able to stop him. The way he was, how fired up he was after he threw that touchdown on the sideline, and he was screaming at everybody, like happily and like, let's go get this. The whole narrative of this game, that's what pisses me off so much about this game. The whole narrative would have been completely different if that D would have came up with a stop. And I'm not trying to not trying to put it all on them like that. They played a hell of a season, #1 overall. You know, it's supposed to be the part that you don't have to worry about, right? But we found out a lot of great things during that game. This is the most I've talked about this, by the way, since Sunday. We found out a lot.
Let it out,
great
Swank.
things.
That's what we're here for.
I just burped. It just, you know, Gabe Davis is for real. You don't have to worry about drafting a wide receiver, you know what I mean, to fill Emmanuel Sanders or finding one in free or whatever. You don't have to. Should you somewhere? Probably. But between, you know, Diggs, Bees, Davis, you know, Isaiah McKenzie, you know, Dawson Knox with his comeback year. There's so much good. Devin Singletary, Spencer Brown. Like, who do you draft?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and this is going to be the fun part about the break and like going over and really hashing out everything over the season and seeing really where the deficit is. Because what John Fina said was correct. We're going to have to make some hard decisions. We said it last year, guys, that like there's going to be people in training camp that are going to get cut that you're going to be like, oh my God. Like they're going to have to cut some good players or some players that are like fan favorites because their roster is so stacked. And now this year, you are going to see people get cut that you were like, what? Like, I mean, I wanted to ask John before he left. You know, he thought the defense needed some adjustments here, like some different players, different coaching to compensate for this Kansas City Chiefs speed. Automatically, my brain went to linebacker. And what I'm thinking is, I know that like people are dogging Tremaine Edmonds. We had Mark Maddox on the show, and we were all talking about it. And we've had that debate where he's young enough and physically gifted enough to how can you give up on him right now? Like, you know, but also
when's enough?
But also the one game where you needed a little speedier guy, you know, and it's not all on him, and I'm not saying that at all. I love Tremaine.
No, he typically rates well on pass coverage. Him and Milano typically rate well on pass coverage.
This is like a different beast. This is like, you know, this is honors class, you know, if you want to run with those guys. Jarrod, you were saying, I'm going to stop my rant here after this, but you were saying like that it makes it easier knowing, you know, that all these guys were good. I think to me, the thing that makes it hard is that if they won this game, there was nobody that could have beat them to me.
No.
And I'm not a homer like that, but I think that they would just railroad the shit out of the Bengals, and I don't think I'm scared of either of those NFC teams in the least. The Chiefs are going to steal a Super Bowl this year.
Yep, I'm glad you brought that up, so like I wanted to talk about that at some point. And I think obviously we all hate the result, but I think because everything was set for us in regards to that, we would be hosting an AFC championship game. There's no doubt in my mind that the remaining AFC team and a lot of Bills fans' minds and the remaining NFC teams are very easily beatable compared to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And everything was set. And I think that's what makes it so hard is because it was right there for us. Yeah. And now it's taken away. Albert Rivera wants to know why they didn't short kick it. There is a rule in the NFL, Albert. If the Tyler Bass did kick the ball as high as he wanted to and the ball landed at the 5-yard line, if he went like this and caught it, the ball still starts at the 25-yard line. So either he returns it, and who knows what's going to happen if he returns it. He could go to the 40, 45, make it easier. But if he fair catches it at the 5, the ball will start at the 25.
So if you fair catch a kickoff, it's like a touchback?
Yep.
Wow.
Inside the 25. If it's shorter than that, it's wherever you catch it. But
has this always been the rule? Really?
A fair catch in the NFL is ball.
Another call is if you decide to squib kick it and you stop the ball and kneel down, it stops the clock. No time
comes off.
Yeah.
So why don't give anybody a chance to kick it or kick return it?
Yeah.
That's one of those things where you got to trust the process. This whole game, I didn't really question anything. Maybe one or two plays here and there, but the big ones, like going for it on 4th down twice on the first drive. Did anybody question that?
Nope.
Why? Because it was successful.
Well, we saw the momentum too. The momentum.
So no one's questioning that. The kickoff. Why don't question that? Just just it was a good call. They just took 4 plays to drive down and kick a field goal.
I wanted that. I wanted him to kick it out of the back of the end zone. I don't.
Yeah.
Listen, you can go back through our history as a team, and I know it doesn't have any sort of relevance to the current team. It just has relevance to the people like us that have lived through all these things, right? You know, so for us collectively over the last 35 plus years, like there's all these events that have happened, and literally they've happened to hundreds of different players, but all on the same team, right? At different stages, and they get to live and die with like what they did in their, you know, what's the average? The average NFL career is 2.5 years, right?
Very short.
Yep. So like, you know, if you're saying that, I mean, obviously a Kyle Williams or a Bruce Smith or whatever, even like a Stevie Johnson and a Ryan Fitzpatrick, like enough time on the team, but the people that were there for wide right weren't there for the miracle.
Mm-hmm.
But we were.
Right.
You know, we've lived all of that. So when you hit a game like this and it's compounded on top of you, where you're like, and that's a, you know, like I said, it feels very Buffalo. And I know, like, again, like John Murphy has discredited that term. It's like, what's that even mean? I'll tell you, man, it's a feeling. It's a feeling when there's 13 seconds left in a game and you've lived through wide right and you've lived through the Music City Miracle and you've lived through all these different ways that the Hail Murray, all these things that you've lived through, to where the Bills need to have a 3-score lead with 13 seconds left, and you still want to see double zeros on the clock to believe it. You know, there's that feeling. Mm-hmm. That's like that this is Buffalo feeling that I get, where it's like it's not over until it's over. And I feel like there's a lot of like privileged like NFL fans of teams that like get to say like Aaron Rodgers, right? More often than not, he's winning those games. Right?
Yeah, how many Hail Marys has he landed in the last 3 seasons?
Exactly. So it's a lot easier to like, I think from different fans' perspectives, right, to be like, oh yeah, whatever. But for us, it's like, you gotta get it.
And when something like that happens, it just makes it that feeling even stronger.
Yeah,
you're right, Swank. When that 13 seconds was there, and you know,
I thought it was over, to be honest with you.
But I looked at my in-laws were over, and Jack, my 5-year-old, is starting to really love the game, which is awesome. He was all excited, and my in-laws and my wife were all excited. I was the only one that was quiet, and they're like, "Why are you so quiet?" I go, "It's not zero yet on the clock. There's plenty of time. I don't know how it's going to happen. I think it's impossible, but it's plenty of time." And then we saw what happened.
Yeah.
Here's something I'd like to know. Each team gets 3 timeouts per half, correct?
Correct.
During this game, both teams had all their timeouts in the last 2 minutes of the game, both of them. Now, I would like to know, when the quarterback does this or anybody does this resets the clock to 25 seconds, right?
They try to.
Right. They try to. Sometimes they get it called, sometimes they don't. Why do we have timeouts if we're asking for more time? I feel like because there was all these timeouts left, that kind of played a factor in how this game ended. I think they start 40 seconds once the ball's set. The team doesn't have 40 seconds to get a play down and get a play off. Then you use one of those timeouts. Yeah. The bad teams who can't manage a game will get the delay games and whatnot. But you have 6 timeouts through the whole game. Stop giving these up to 25 seconds. Let the team use the timeout and manage it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it would have played a big factor in the game, but both teams had 6 timeouts in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You think, you're talking Mahomes got away with resetting the clock a couple times.
I'd like to know what the comparison was, how many times each team, but
right. I think at that point, in that last drive, there wasn't much of that. You know what I mean?
No, they went out of bounds. They were, yeah.
So here's
that last drive was purely
it was almost
defensive call.
Yeah. Here's a question. When does out of bounds stop the clock?
When you're going, okay. So if you catch the ball or your momentum's taking you out of bounds without a defensive person contacting you, that stops the clock. If you're running forward and you get tackled backwards out of bounds, that won't stop the clock.
I understand those rules.
When
they are
Tyreek Hill's
different.
running to the sideline and he jumps backwards out of bounds, it shouldn't have stopped the clock.
And
Why?
all
And
good-
also, when he gives a peace
if
sign
he's
when he's
going
going in the end zone,
that's Tommy.
that's Tom.
So where I'm getting at, I'm sorry, and this is like something that I have observed and was unaware of, and it's got to be connected to game flow and commercials and whatever. The clock does not stop every time you run out of bounds. It only stops like that, like under a certain time, because when you run out, they might stop it to set the ball, and it starts right back up again. If you're at 9 minutes in the first quarter and you run out of bounds, it's going.
Right.
So
I think
for me,
Under 3 minutes, I think.
under 3 minutes, I'm curious about that, because I know definitely under 2 minutes, but because I mean there's got to be teams that have tried before they made that rule, right, to just bleed a game and do that kind of stuff.
No, they have.
Yeah. And I remember a Patriots Colts game where they just ran, and it was like, a 4-possession game. And I think it was the Colts just ran truck all over the Patriots, but it was like, 12-minute drives and just insane. So I was just curious because
there is a certain point in the game. I think it's 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Once you get under that, when you go out of bounds, clock stops. During any other time of the game, if you run out of bounds, there's 9 minutes left, the clock will still keep going, even if you are going forward.
Yeah.
Let's clarify that peace sign. At the beginning of the season, one of the biggest rules that the NFL set in place was no taunting this year, right?
They put that in place because of that.
One of the rules was for Tyreek Hill's peace sign when he was scoring. Mm-hmm. That was a main point that they discussed. To the fact, Tyreek Hill got gloves made where
his 2 fingers are highlighted.
2 fingers were highlighted. So all he would need to do is stick his hand out and you could see the peace sign, right? That is a legit personal taunting foul that they focused on at the beginning of the year, and they've been focusing on all year. Tyreek Hill threw up that peace sign on that big play at the end of the game. So I'm not one that he was going to score anyway, even if he did or didn't do it. But it's one of those assumption things again, right? Like the Houston game. We assumed he was going to give up the ball.
Yeah.
Well, that peace sign's not an assumption. He actually did it. And if it's the rule, it's the rule. And I'm one for, if you're going to make rules, you have to be consistent. If you don't want to call that, don't call it all year. Right. You know what I mean? So that's kind of frustrating.
I was okay with the way they called this game. I thought.
Yeah, me too.
I thought there wasn't a lot of penalties, and that was good. I did think that the line was getting held all day long.
I was going to say that one penalty for the Chiefs, no holding penalties.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I have definitely seen way worse officiated games that the Bills have played. Probably including the last Kansas City Chiefs-Bills matchup on Week 5. I think that there was some controversial calls in that they were trying to make it so that the Chiefs had a fighting chance. But I don't know, man. There's just like too much left up to chance. I think that you should block out the games for another hour or a half an hour and let them play it out and review everything. And
I like the whole overtime, whole quarter. Just 10 minutes
Sure.
and have them bash it out for a whole freaking quarter.
Why not?
Yep.
No ties. This is the game. This is what 24/7 is bringing to the table for game changes for 2022.
When's that happen? In April? April or May does that happen?
Yeah. So no ties, full quarter. Refs. Refs are held responsible. I think refs should be managed like an NFL team. I think that there should be maybe not an owner, but a collective like supervisor that is voted upon by all of the owners and head coaches, and then he is directly responsible for that core group. And you can't be a doctor that's vacationing for 6 months out of the year to come hang out with superstars and slap Patrick Mahomes' fanny, and you can't be a lawyer that decides that he's going to do like one big like murder trial a year and then come and try and not call holding calls or whatever. It's got to be people that like love the game, love that it's what about these guys that like don't get into the NFL? or don't make it
There you
in
go.
the NFL.
Yeah.
That know
Have those
the
guys do
game,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Like, give them an opportunity. You know, I don't know. It seems like there's such a better way to do that. So those are my three. You guys got anything else?
3 rule
No,
changes?
I love that overtime because then you don't have to make any specific rules. Oh, one team has to score this and then that and this. If you just do 10-minute quarters and whoever wins at the end of it wins, that's fantastic. It's quick,
NFL.
very simple. Very
you're gonna
simple.
you're gonna make money off of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Is there
And you're
more money
giving-
off getting it right or the controversy? I would think
True.
getting it right. You know,
Mhm.
like I guess you get like a bunch of stuff to talk on. Like maybe you wouldn't have so much garbage. Like you wouldn't have Skip Bayless like making benign, stupid points about nothing because it would be like, no, Skip, it's right there. You know, Skip, it's right here.
Skip, buddy.
Yep.
Also, they grade those referees. They don't get paid till the end of the season. I think you grade whoever has the highest grade gets paid the most, and whoever doesn't get paid at all. What do you think about that?
Well, I thought that's really how it was, and I was like, well,
You don't get paid
those
to the end of the
doctors
season.
can really make it happen. Like, I don't give a shit. Holding.
I want to. I know we're talking with Buffalo, and I know we're arguing about the rules and being pissed off about a few things. Can I gloat a little bit on how I think Josh Allen is just so much better than Mahomes?
Sure. I love it.
And guys, this is the big stat. This is the big stat that Mahomes came into. This is a big stat that Allen did not come into. This is something. Mahomes is a great athlete, and he is. And in the K-Gun Report and Sunday sessions, I told you guys if the Buffalo Bills contain Mahomes, they beat him. Not only did they miss a bunch of sacks, a lot of opportunities. Addison and Hughes, who should be out by this year.
Yeah.
They played a big role as the veterans and made a lot of missed tackles. My theory behind that, Swank, Jarrod, I don't know about you, but if you're going to have someone running around the quarterback and missing tackles and biting at their heels, I'd rather my rookies doing that than the veterans doing it.
Yep.
Get them the experience. But Mahomes, he's a good quarterback. I'm not going to take anything away from him. But I found an interesting stat. The fact that he's had Tyreek Hill and Kelsey and Marcole Herdman help him out quite a bit. Remember, Josh just got Diggs last year and Beasley 2 years ago, and he's been in the NFL for 4 years. Remember his roster 4 years ago, guys? That was pretty disgusting.
You mean
Out of-
awesome, like disgusting?
No, it was gross.
It was sick, dude.
This year, and someone brought it up on Twitter, and then I saw it again on Facebook, and it was a stat that was astonishing. When you go ahead and you give the patch to Mahomes, think about what he's done compared to Allen. Mahomes, out of all his total yards, 2,700 of them were yards after catch.
Mm-hmm.
Yards after catch. That's a 5-yard pass turned into a 65-yard touchdown by Tyreek Hill. Same goes for Marcole Hardman, and same goes for Kelsey. 1,700 yards were Josh Allen's yard after catch. That's almost a full 4 games worth of yards after catch that Mahomes has over Josh Allen. So
That's interesting.
more deeper balls, more of a gamble, not the dump offs, not the screens. Josh Allen's your better quarterback. The wins aren't going to tell you that when it comes to the head-to-head. But I just wanted to throw that out there. It was the most interesting stat I've seen as far as the comparison between these two guys. And it brings up a point that I'm trying to make is, do the Bills need a yard after catch guy?
Yes.
Who's their yard after catch guy? Do they need to utilize McKenzie more, or do they go ahead and go out and get a 4-2, 4-3 wide receiver in the 4th or 5th round and start leaking him into the system?
I think we found a lot out about Gabe Davis this weekend.
Exactly what I was going to say.
But he doesn't have that speed that he's got. That I mean, he knocked that. He had those people's legs twisted up, making them look like fools on his routes. But I'm talking about the quick slants that are a lot of times our Buffalo Bills are getting tackled. 5-yard catch, tackle, 5-yard catch, tackle. I want a guy that's going to catch it at 5 yards and be able to outrun the safety that's already got a good angle on him to score that 70-yard touchdown.
You want that, even though Allen put up his numbers this year and we had what we had?
Could you imagine that?
Right. I guess.
I think it's.
I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, I think that's something that could be added to this offense. I think a lot
Paulette
of that.
just said my cousin McKenzie can do that. I believe he can. But
Yeah. 100%. I wish that they would have used McKenzie this last game the way they used him against the Patriots. I mean, there's a little of it, very little of it, and you can't. This is going to get a little sticky because you can't. I don't feel you can give Dable too much shit for these last 2 games. The 3 and outs, the 3 and outs in the first half into the second half, if one of those goes a different way, if you're not trying to be too cute, if you're letting Josh rip, those are the difference maker, right? But there's a lot of stuff that's a difference maker. Mm-hmm. So I got to say, credit where credit's due. Dable called really great games these last 2 weeks. I don't care if he leaves. I really don't care. But now you got to look for like that next piece, what elevates it, you know. And yeah, I think you're right, man. I think a yak guy. Is huge. Or you know, Gabe is like a tall receiver, and he's not afraid to go up for the ball. You know, but maybe like a late round, big, tall, thick, fast wide receiver.
You're looking for like a quick slant catch and gone.
I'm looking for
we have Stevenson
Metcalf.
still. I mean, Stevenson, I don't think did well on kick. Yeah.
I'm looking for a Metcalf. I'm looking for a
muscle
bruiser, like somebody that's Dennis Rodman.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I mean, this is what's great about this team, and we're gonna get into this, you know, far into the future here. But like, it's like having a garage full of like, you know, muscle cars, and one's got a little bit of rust on it. So you're like, well, maybe I'll just swap that one out for, you know, like it's all cool, everything's awesome. You're like replacing one type of good for another type of good at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know, Josh's ball placement, man, has gotten better and better. So I wonder what the yak stats are compared from like the first half of the year to the second half of the year, or even like these last 4 or 5 games.
5 weeks, right? Yeah.
But
I'm gonna throw this out there quick. I saw somebody on Facebook, Bill's Mafia page, already getting rid of Beasley for Kirk.
Christian,
is that a good option, or do you want Beasley next year or what?
We've got a Kirk.
You see his catches?
I know,
Beasley, but Beasley caught everything this week.
I love Bees.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All you're doing is adding another player to the W2 and W wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Kirk is not gonna. I don't think he's that slant guy. I mean, he looked good in Arizona, but no, you need to keep Beasley. If you're gonna go after anybody, you got to keep Beasley. But I'd rather than get a yak guy.
Beasley
I think
did well.
I mean, but you already got depth behind Beasley too. You know, and I think that Isaiah should not like want for touches. That he should get his fair amount of. He should probably get as many touches as Beasley gets. Oh, I thought you were making that face to me, but your kid just walked in.
My little sweetheart's going potty. She likes to wave.
Oh yeah, Justin. Oh,
and then keep going.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would love to see them have a boring draft. I think at this point I want a corner, I want offensive line depth, I want defensive line depth, and I want a linebacker. And then after that, I don't know. You want a late round running back, a big body running back. Is Zach Moss done?
We've got people knocking him out already.
You know,
it's going to be interesting to see.
You know, free agency wise, there's going to be a lot out there.
Swank, I said this to a couple people today. These years are building up now. Who's going to be the one guy that's going to want to come to Buffalo to help this team out that we will be hugely surprised?
We'll be hugely surprised. Aaron Rodgers.
Like, A-Rod.
Guys, we have
about the bench.
We have about $3 million cap space right now, and unless we get rid of Starr, Addison, those guys that signed a couple more years to extend their contracts and save some dead space, I don't see us doing a whole lot. We're going to have to save those millions for the draft pick. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of negotiations they do with the contracts we have coming up. But right now, we don't have a lot to play with.
Well, you know, Bean is Bean, man. He's Bean.
But the Magic Bean, you never know what he's going to do.
So what were you going to – who's your guy?
I don't have a guy yet, but there's I got a feeling there's going to be a name.
To like you had like some guy. Everybody, I don't know, I'm talking about Christian McCaffrey. I don't know. I don't think I want
Stays
him.
healthy all year. That'd be great.
If you could get him for a song, man, but you're not gonna.
I don't like these guys coming in that get 30 touches a game. They're going to come in and get 10 and 12, and they're not going to be happy.
Yeah, you're right. And running backs are a dime a dozen, man.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the season's my favorite part, but I love the free agency and draft part of it.
Mhm.
24/7 Buff Pandemonium does a draft party, and we go crazy with free agency frenzy and throw out all these possibilities, and we keep track of the cap space. And it may go up to $25.7 million to $208.2 total, so that'll give us a little bit of room to wiggle with.
Wiggle.
Wiggle. So what's gonna happen, guys? We're gonna do a show next week.
Yep.
And we're gonna have
Are we doing
couple
Sunday
special guests
session?
on.
Are we gonna do one more Sunday session to bookmark it or no?
I don't know. Well, you want a Sunday session, the two remaining games?
into the Super Bowl.
The
Yeah.
AFC and the NFC championship games? We could talk about them.
You want to do this Sunday and then have Tuesday's K-Gun be the start of the break?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So
Well-
we got a Sunday session coming up this Sunday at 11:30 with Scott Ryan and myself, and then we'll end your season 2 of the K-Gun Report a week from today at 8 p.m. with a bunch of special guests and surprises. We should do some
There you go.
giveaways for that. Some shirts or
See what we
something.
got there. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
We have some shirts.
Just a reminder, we do have those pre-ordered for the It Might Be Chilly cigar shirts that Swank came up with.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome little design. They're hoodies, the black hoodies. Sweet little design. Pre-order. Go check out our Facebook page for information, or PM us if you're interested. We also have the black 24/7 Buff Pandemonium. We have the red 24/7 Buff Pandemonium, and the Notorious Diggs shirt still available. And the stickers, obviously, you PM us your address, we'll send them out there for free. But yeah, next week's show of the K-Gun Report, we got a lot of special guests. We're just going to have a conversation reflecting the season, a great season it was. We need to be happy for what, it's tough, but it was a good season, guys, nonetheless.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Scott, you might as well keep going. Closing thoughts for tonight.
My closing thoughts was just going to tell you guys how much Josh Allen has improved, and the fact that you've seen a lot of posts out there saying that Josh Allen and Mahomes are the next Brady and the next Manning, and that'd be a hell of a comparison. It really would. But Josh Allen needs to start winning these playoff games against Mahomes to be a consideration. It was a hell of a season. A great season. Unfortunately, it ended the way it did. To trust the process, guys, and I know the process is being questioned right now, but if you trust the process, imagine where we were 4 years ago. We just barely made the playoffs 5 years ago. We missed the playoffs 4 years ago with Josh Allen as a rookie. His second year, we're in a wild card game. His third season, we're in the AFC Championship game. And yes, the only thing we want is more progress, which would have put us in the Super Bowl. But we played against a team that's more like a good chance of winning the Super Bowl. We need to trust the process. We have a lot of our guys that are signing for big deals, and you got to be able to trust Bean and McDermott. We got new offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators coming in. It'll be interesting to see how that's going to work. But trust the process. Don't lose faith in our Buffalo Bills. You hung out with them for the whole season. Don't dump them now. You need to be with them.
Swank.
Sorry, McCoy just came to see me. So
Dogs are awesome. I love them.
yeah, he's a good boy, isn't he? Yeah, man. The Manning Brady thing, I kind of love it. I was talking to my wife Sarah about how it's crazy that over the last couple of years we've seen like very powerful big name quarterbacks slowly start to retire. Right? You had Breeze last year. You're gonna have Roethlisberger this year probably, and who knows, how long Rodgers and Brady. I really think if Rodgers leaves Green Bay, he might have the same story as Favre. Like he'll go and have 1 year out of spite that's really great, and then fade out.
And Arthur Motes would come out and just end them.
And just end him. Arthur Motes' cousin.
And the Bills play Green Bay next year, so.
That's an interesting thing because I heard that the Browns are like the front runner for Aaron Rodgers if he doesn't stay. Yeah, whatever. I also saw Jarvis Landry was giving Josh Allen a bunch of like attaboys on Twitter.
Oh, really?
So I'm wondering if his contract's getting up too. I don't want him in Buffalo at all. Please, Sean McDermott, if you hear me.
Buffalo doesn't want him in
Yeah,
Buffalo.
Buffalo doesn't want him in Buffalo. I think this is going to be a heavyweight bout for a long time. I think Mahomes is an amazing quarterback. But here's the thing. His style of play is not sustainable. And I feel that Josh Allen's evolution and the way he's playing is. I think he does less of the runs, the hard runs, and more of the smart play. He's getting more accurate. He's going for it. He's trusting himself more. You could see that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wouldn't make those. I mean, not that he couldn't make the throws. He just, in the pressure, the system, the way he came in, the way everything fell together at the end of that game before the last 13 seconds, that dude is magic, man. Like, he's going to be the biggest thing the Buffalo's ever seen, you know, and you get to see it for the next 8 years.
He's 25 years old.
Yeah. Okay. The next 28 years, you're going
There
to
you go.
And as much of a bummer as it was, I don't know, man. I'm glad I got to do it with you guys, go through the season with you guys. I'm glad I got to go through it with the Fanimonium here, and I'm glad we got another show to kind of celebrate being alive and all the successes and losses along the way. And you know, you can join us every Tuesday night. Well, one more Tuesday night at 8 p.m. for the K-Gun Report. Brought to you by 24/7 Buff Fanimonium. We'll be catching up all podcast episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. And don't forget about Sunday Sessions. We got one more episode of that. Same deal, 11:30 a.m. Yeah, a.m. With Scott and Ryan and myself. And be on the lookout for charity event that we're going to be putting out.
Yes.
Teased.
Jarrod, what time are you coming over Sunday to go sledding with the kids?
I don't know. I'll have to talk to the wife about that one.
Maybe you should show up at 11:30. You can sit by me.
Maybe I'll make a show.
There you go, dude. That'd be great.
That'd be fantastic, actually.
Jarrod, final thought.
You're watching. My final thoughts. Guys,
Jarrod.
this you two, season 2. We've come a long way, guys. And again, Swank, like you said, I'm proud that I was able to do this with you guys, but the Fanimonium, and I mean it when I say it, the people that show up weekly is just amazing. And I hope someday that I get to meet every single one of you. There is an opportunity for that. We can do a regular season rager. If y'all want to come up, we got a guy that can hook us up with hotel rooms and stuff, but we'll elaborate more when we get there.
I'm thinking we're going to do music this year, man. I think the band's going to
like
play
music.
and do that kind of thing.
Music's good.
Yeah.
I do.
I like
that.
it. Big event.
Again, if you guys have any suggestions for next season 3, don't be afraid to let us know. Again, we do this because we like talking football with the 3 of us, but when you guys jump on here too, you're part of it. This is what makes this whole thing go. After the game, there was a big question. Somebody was upset on, I think, Twitter or Facebook, and they're asking around, like, how do you deal with it? Look around you. This is a game. At the end of the day, it's just a game. But for some people who've played the game, that, you know, have experienced the game inside the game, it's like, I learned sportsmanship. I learned teamwork. I learned how to lose, how to win. I gained friendship for this game. So it is, at the end of the day, just a game, but you can have the emotions with it. You can be sad. You can be upset with a loss, and it can bother you. You know what I mean? But look around you, see your family, and that'll bring you out of it. That's what it did for me. You know, when the Bills were losing, they were down by 9. You know, I just looked behind me because the kids were all watching TV, and I was like, the real deal is behind me. This is just a game. I'm going to root for these Buffalo Bills in and out till the end, but you got to take, you know, count your blessings. And I did that Sunday, and the outcome sucked, and I'm sad still, but this is one of those games. It's a sport. It starts over every year, and we're not going to win them all, but we can win a couple, and hopefully there are a couple in the future. We want them now, you know, to get that base, but I know I ranted there a little bit and got kind of confused, but love the one you're with. As we're all family, love family. That's the most important thing than football. But we're gonna be here next Sunday. Scott and Swank and I might make an appearance on Sunday sessions, and then we're gonna have fun Tuesday for the K-Gun report to close us out. Guys, it was fun. I can't wait to see you guys next week. And the Phantomonium. Go Bills.
Hey guys, we got used to wide right. We got used to Miracle City, Music City Miracle. We're gonna have to get used to 13 seconds. It's just gonna make us tougher. Go Bills.
How many jokes can you throw in there with that 13 seconds? You're gonna have to get used to the 13 seconds.
Love you guys, man. Go.
This is a dangerous group that